said he was going to. I was like, I don't need to. So
Hey, that's okay. 40 years of experience.
this would be on the table. Well, we got tomorrow night, the other was on an NBA hearing. We still don't know.
The time is 7 p.m. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for case number Z23-004, wall bonds, map amendment. Sorry. Turn your phones off. Don't mind me here. Just as a wrinkle for tonight, we found out last minute that one of our trustees will not be in attendance. So we give the applicants for any of the zoning amendment changes the option of requesting a continuance till we have 3 trustees present. And based on our schedules, I understand our next meeting when we will have 3 present would be November 6th. Okay. I need to call to order first. Roll call, please.
Mr. Adler?
Present.
Ms. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Kraft is absent.
Mr. Snowden, would you like to start off with a presentation?
Just very briefly, this case is a 108 plus or minus acre site on Industrial Parkway at Beecher Gamble Road. Current zoning district, RU district, proposed zoning district is Commerce District. The board has had, had me go through the report. I'm happy to do that again if you need me to, but given that Mr. Duggar is coming forward, I'm guessing he's going to want to go ahead and request a continuance as well. So with your permission, we'll just turn it over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Studden.
Please state your name and address.
Yeah, Glenn Duggar, attorney, 37 West Broad, representing the applicant. I'm going to request continuance until November 6th, your next meeting, which you'll have a full quorum. I think that's appropriate. There's, in addition to not having a quorum here, we are covered up by an NDA, so I can't say too much, but we are having some conversations with somebody who might be interested in the property, which may help inform us as to how this is going to look going forward. So I think that would be helpful too in this next 6 week periods. Maybe I'll have something more to say about that in 6 weeks, maybe not, but in any event, I'd like to present this to the full board, so I request continuance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and one other
Discussion,
thing,
please.
Mr. I did notify Mr. Nolan, who's been my dance partner on behalf of the neighbors. He did come anyway because he likes to see me on Tuesday nights. But in any event, we did make it known to our neighbors that what we're going to be doing this evening. Thank you.
Appreciate
Wonderful.
it. Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this public hearing until November 6th, 7 p.m. at the Township Hall.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The time is 7:03. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for case number Z24-002, Courier Ridge map amendment. Roll call.
Mr. Adler?
Present.
Ms. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Kraft is absent.
Mr. Snowden, would you like to make a presentation, or should we ask the applicant if they would also like to have a continuance?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to suggest if the applicant's willing that we collectively proceed tonight to at least have them go through the staff report, take public comment, and then if at that point, based on feedback from the board, if the applicant wants to request that the board vote, they could. They just need to remember, as Mr. Adler already said, you need both members that are present to vote yes, or at that time you could exercise your right, or at any time to say, hey, we'd like to request a continuance, and then again, it would be to the date that's stated. So is it acceptable to at least proceed for me to go through the report? You all can do presentation, take public comment. That's fine.
That's fine. Proceed, please.
Thank you, sir. Let me load my slide. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Davis. This is case Z23-004. It is a site located approximately 30 acres, located on the,
Wrong case number. Can you?
did I
state
read the wrong one?
case
Z24-002.
number?
There we go, thank you. Approximately 30 acres, located along the, I'm going to call it west side of Courier Road, south of US Highway 42. And what is, the current zoning district is Commerce District. What's proposed is a rezoning to LDR District. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, sir. What is proposed is a rezoning to LDR, Low Density Residential District, and that would allow approximately 10 single-family dwellings. This is the site on our current official zoning map. I am working with LUC Regional Planning Commission to update our zoning maps. So just as a reminder, these parcels over here are zoned Planned Development District now, and that allows single-family dwellings as well. To the south, these lots are zoned LDR. Across the railroad tracks is the balance of the site that's owned by the same owner but is not included in this application. That is zoned RU district. This little area here is zoned MDR district. That's the unincorporated village of Arnold. This is the township's current comprehensive plan. The township comprehensive plan called for conservation development land uses, essentially single-family dwellings between 1 and 2 units per acre. The comprehensive plan recommended that these types of developments be zoned as planned districts, primarily because they often include a lot more than 10 lots. They often include infrastructure and open space, and there's a need to have the greater control with the plan district tool. However, the conservation district calls for residential land use as a residential land use district. I actually have, looks like I pulled the wrong slide, but just to explain how we got here. This was actually zoned light commercial and light industry all the way back in the original township zoning map in 1957. The thought process being, back in 1957, if you have land along the railroad tracks, that's where business and industry is going to be. That was the thought process at the time. And actually, the commerce, what was then called the commercial district, actually went all the way down to Converse Road. This parcel, which was down here, which is now developed with single-family dwellings and was owned by a different landowner, was zoned to LDR subsequent to the adoption of zoning. And those single-family homes have been constructed over the course of the last several decades. So what's being proposed here is to essentially get rid of this industrial district, which is currently undeveloped, and develop a single-family dwelling, 10-unit or 10-lot subdivision, which the developer has called Courier Ridge. Here you can see how they're proposing to lay out the lots. They can't really fit any additional lots on here in a practical sense once the minimum lot width of the LDR district is incorporated. They also have a easement with the Ohio EPA that covers this area, so anyone who purchases that land will be encumbered by that easement, which is basically a preservation area that nobody can do anything with. And so this is what's being proposed. If there's no water and sewer to the site, if there was water and sewer, they might be able to get 1 or 2 additional lots there at the absolute most. But given the lot width, minimum lot width of the district, given the existing overhead easement, overhead power line easement, which is this here, and then giving this area, there's a lot of practical constraints to development at the site. This was reviewed by LUC Regional Planning Commission. LUC Regional Planning Commission recommended approval. Your Township Zoning Commission held a hearing late last month on this case after giving notice required by law. Their recommendation was also for approval. My staff recommendation to the Zoning Commission was for approval. Although the Conservation Development District or the Conservation Development Land Use Area did contemplate Planned Development District as the tool, in LUC's report, and I concur for the same reasons that's provided in the report, that it was superior to have this industrial zoning district out of here. What we have right now is an area where we have either zoned or planned or both for a lot of single-family dwellings. This commerce district, existing district, allows things like lumberyard. It allows landscaping contractor as a conditional use. It allows a lot of uses that in the long run are going to conflict with the single-family dwellings that are already there along Courier, that are already planned or zoned along Courier. And so, given that, the choice that in my professional opinion the board is faced with here is whether the board is comfortable with continuing to allow those land uses to possibly go in here down the line, or the 10 units, maybe 11 or 12 at the absolute maximum with water and sewer, which is not to the site, being the appropriate land use. So with all of that, staff's recommendation was for approval, as was LUC's and the zoning commission. With that, I know the applicant intends to make a presentation if they wish, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I'm just looking to verify in the document that there is the 40% open space.
Is the developer here?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hi.
Hi,
How are
I'm
you?
Wade Dunn with Evergreen Land Company, 6295 Causeway Road, Dublin, Ohio.
Okay.
My question was regarding the conservation requirement for 40% open space. Was that requirement met?
No. But that's because they're proposing a standard zoning district rather than a planned district. Planned district is the tool to obtain.
So the open space is not required in a
Correct.
density residential district.
In a standard district,
Conservation area.
in a standard district, there is not a tool for requiring open space. Okay, but in a practical sense, the area that's indicated here, excuse me, on Mr. Dunham's, this area here, and can you remind me, Wade, how many acres is that? I have it in my file.
Yeah, it's about 11 acres.
Yeah, so that area is encumbered by an easement
Right.
with OEPA, and I've seen that. Wade was kind enough to provide a copy. In fact, I think I have it right here, which is essentially is a preservation area. It's even more stringent than the open space
Right.
areas we often see. That's 11 acres of an approximately 30-some acre site, but it's not a requirement of the zoning district. It's just a practical constraint of the site.
So
Does
the
that make sense?
trade-off is by not having a planned development, which would require 40%, this has about 30% open space in a low-density residential.
The applicant identified the zoning district. They contacted my office. I mean, the purpose of a standard district is that the standard districts are a little bit simpler to deal with. They're not going to require them to have a detailed development plan. There's no new public infrastructure that's being proposed. So I think for those reasons, the applicant identified standard zoning as their preferred district. But that was their decision.
The reason for the EPA easement was for groundwater, recharge mitigation on our New California Hills 13 subdivision project behind the fire station. When we cleared out some of the trees there, put the streets in, we had a shortage of groundwater recharge, and we looked all over the place for some more property to buy and realized that we could offer this up to them. And they love the idea because it's right on Sugar Run. It takes out 2 cultivated fields that are right next door to it. And they had us put a environmental covenant on it, which has a lot of restrictions. You can't ride your motorcycles or quad runners or whatever on there. Basically, what you can do is mow it with brush hog and clean up any dead trees, that kind of thing, or any noxious weeds if those are identified.
Yeah, understood. Is there any concern on the applicant's part of being that close to the railroad tracks for residential use? And are you going to be buffering noise or anything on that side of the lots?
No, we thought about that, but then we've looked at the houses across the street and the ones farther south on the same side of the road as us, and it doesn't seem to bother those folks. And
Yeah, well, and you think, if somebody is okay with buying by the railroad track, they're going to, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I like this better than LVR.
Lumberyard, landscape company, those things are currently by right.
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 We already have single-family homes in the area, and I can only imagine how folks would feel if we were bringing in industry into their backyard. So I think it's appropriate, and I think it's well done.
thank you.
Do you have any issues?
Is there any other presentation you'd like to make? Anything?
Eric made a mention of no more than 1 or 2 lots. Well, 10 lots is it.
Okay.
We're meeting the 3-to-1 maximum lot.
With
depth
that ratio.
Yeah, depth to width ratio. And that dictated the size of almost all the lots down the line. The electric easement dictated the first 2 lots, and the Ohio EPA easement dictates the other end of the site. So we have no flexibility to add any more than what we have there.
If a site has access to water and sewer, the lot width is slightly, and lot area regulations are slightly less. So that's why I said that. But again, if they're moving forward with development and they're platting, once it's platted, that's it. There's not going to be recreation of the lots.
Sure. It's pretty straightforward. You did all the right things, I think, and you got the approvals required to come before the board, and I really don't have anything to say. I think it's well done and pretty easy.
Good,
I
thank you.
think it's a good fit for the area. What do you think, Trustee Haller?
I think it's probably the best possible use for that spot
Right.
there. So.
Thank you. Do you have any more questions?
Would you like a continuance, or would you like us to go
Let's
forward?
vote.
Mr. Chairman and Mrs. Davis, before you do that, is there any public if Mr. Dunham or his team don't have anyone else, you might just want to check to make sure there's no public comment for this particular case.
I don't see anybody signed up. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak at this time, please come forward and state your name and address. If not, then do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Resolution.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Davis, there are draft resolutions in your packet. They have the motion written on the front. This should have been, Robert has the original resolutions. Not that one, hold on a second, Mr. Adams. It may have been in this other pile.
Zoning Commission.
Right here, Mr. Adams.
Next one. You can make the same motion. The motion would just be right here. It would be the same.
I move that we approve a resolution to render, I move that we render a decision on a proposed amendment to the zoning resolution, official zoning map of Jerome Township, Union County, Ohio, case number Z24-002. Do I have a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Stradler?
Yes,
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft is absent.
motion is passed.
Mr. Caldwell has 2 copies of the resolution he's going to pass down.
Okay, we're gonna
We will-
take a pause before we get into the regular meeting to sign the appropriate documents. So if anybody needs to take a break or anything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
My
you.
office will provide my office will provide a copy of that as soon as tomorrow. If I forget to do it, feel free to plug me.
Okay.
And then that'll wait on file during the referendum period. Great.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
person here? Adjournment.
We need a motion to adjourn. I'd like to move that we adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
Time is 7:20. We are adjourned. The time is 7:20. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Jerome Township Trustees for September 17th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And Ms. Sampson?
Let's all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make one minor change to the agenda and to move the executive session to after new business between number 11 and 12. Any discussion?
I have one addition to
Okay.
old business, the facilities bonds.
Any other discussion?
No.
I'd like to move to approve the agenda as modified.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Do we have minutes to approve?
Yes, you have the minutes of the, just a second. Special meeting of July 31st, special meeting of August 6th, regular meeting of August 6th, the special meeting of August 20th, regular meeting of August 20th, the special meeting of September 3rd, and the regular meeting of September 3rd.
I've read through them. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And next, we've got Mr. Caldwell, the fiscal officer report and approval of warrants.
You have the warrants per your pending warrants report. They are warrants number 44964 through 45010 and 94091 through 94098.
Move that we approve the warrants.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
That's all I have for now.
I do not have anyone sign in for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak that did not get an opportunity to sign in, please come forward. If not, we'll move on to our next item, a timely basis, public safety officer. Please come forward, state your name.
I'm Deputy Snyder. We have some speech release out in Jerome Township right now for some complaints and the developments, but other than that, I have nothing new to report. It's not that y'all heard anything, but
Anybody parking in the wrong places down there?
Not yet.
Just a quick question, have there been any issues related to the roundabout that you're aware of?
the new one here at Mitchell DeWitt, not that I'm aware of now. It's been pretty smooth. That is
All the
something I
feedback
can-
I've gotten so far has been positive.
Yes, no, it's super nice to have the construction done now.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, well, thank you for attending, thanks. Okay, we're going to move along then to Mr. Stanley for the administrator report, please.
Thanks, Mr. Adler. I'll defer to Chief Stewart here in a little bit for the fire department report. You should have the cemetery report there from the road department and the front office working together on those. On the road department, real quick, we did finish the asphalt project down here behind going down into Harry Wolf Park for the handicap. It's been better painted handicap markings down there. I believe there's 6 stalls there now for handicap vans, handicap folks in general to use, and it's been leveled off. And you'll note that there are 2 sub paths off of the main drive there. If you walk down there, you'll see that one heads towards the water, the other one heads a little bit away. One is going to be connected eventually to the fishing dock that will be built there in the next few weeks. The other will connect to when we eventually get the walking path constructed around the pond. So we're excited that that part's done, and tremendous improvement. And we just remind the motoring public, if you are not handicapped, please park up here. Those stalls are for handicapped folks only. Moving on, Mr. Snowden can talk zoning for a moment here in a minute as well. I do want to cover 2 other projects that I need the board's advice on and permissions to move forward. As you're aware, we recently worked with Faust Plumbing and Heating out of Plain City to provide quotes to redo both sets of bathrooms. So there's 2 inside, 2 on the outside that's accessible from the park. The total on those to replace the stools, the urinals, and the applicable valves and so on is $13,812. I'd like a motion for me and Mr. Graber from the road department to work with Faust to get this project forward.
I asked the question about the need for filters on there. I don't see anything there.
Yeah, that's been asked of them, and I believe it was a part of the project, but we will verify.
I don't see that.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I don't have any.
Okay with us?
I am.
Okay, I move that we sign the completion of this project under the administration of the Township Administrator, Mr. Stanley, to proceed for the amount up to $14,000 based on the invoice we have here for $13,812.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Finally, as you know, the pavement markings out here are in desperate need of repair, restriping. All of the yellow out here, we attempted earlier in the summer to use a power washer. That's just not going to work. That's a ton of work, and that's never going to come off with just that type of a device using it. So we reached out to a couple professional companies that do this, parking lot striping. One was called Parking Marking. They're based out of Carroll, Ohio. The other one was called Waltz Pavement out of Reynoldsburg. In essence, there was a question about whether or not to make the stalls wider or to leave them the same. The concern that we've had back is that if you widen to 10 feet, these are currently 9 feet wide, that it would take up probably 4 or 5 stalls that would be lost as you begin to widen those stalls out. You'll end up losing that amount of stalls. There was a concern about losing spaces because we do get busy here, and we tend, especially during elections and baseball games and even busy board nights, we fill our parking lot. And there's times when there's clearly not enough. We've had overflow parking out here on election day that is clear over here into the other driveway. So that's entirely up to you. With parking marking, actually both companies were very, very close in cost. If you include using a gray paint over top of these existed faded yellows just to blend it in a little bit, and then they'll come back through with fresh yellow and blue as appropriate. That was $1,950. If you widen them, add $550 to the overall, so you're up around $2,500. On Waltz, it was going to be to widen. Start out with the 9. That was $2,063.50, and then if you widen, it was going to be $3,048. So, in talking this through with Mr. Graver and the road department, he preferred going with parking marking and not widening, but again, that's up for the board to discuss. We're ready to get this moving. I just wanted to know what direction for sure the board wanted to go with this.
Your thoughts?
I mean, I'm gonna lean into the road department's recommendation always. I don't.
Did you have any conversation with the
I
trustee?
did
that's
not
not
get to
in
that
this?
today, no.
What is the existing spacing, do you know?
You mean the number of stalls?
No.
9 feet,
Is it 9 feet?
yeah.
Is
That 9
within-
foot is the minimum development standard in our zoning resolution. That's a typical suburban standard. Sub-communities like Columbus can be as narrow as 8. 10 would be extremely wide. You could certainly do that. I've never heard of a community doing 10-foot parking unless you're dealing with some sort of specialized vehicle, which we're not.
I guess my concern for widening was that we have so many large pickup trucks now. I've seen doors, people are hardly able to get in and out of their vehicles, but I do understand that it is also going to involve moving the locks and everything, and that we're going to lose significant numbers of spaces that we don't need to lose at this point. So I guess if we're meeting the minimum requirements, I guess I'm okay with the
Okay,
spacing the way we have it.
all right, we'll move
And,
forward.
I'd like to make a motion and then move forward with the
Yep, parking marking then is the name of the company.
Second,
Second?
roll call?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Chief, did you have anything now, or did you did you have a report to do before we go?
I do.
Okay, go right ahead.
I'm easy either way, so
Okay, you can go right ahead.
I'm gonna keep it quick and then hand out some packet.
Doing that tonight.
You're doing the hearing. The resolution would be at your next regular meeting.
Which do I have to do, because it doesn't say township anymore?
Township
Need to
Hall.
read what it is, doesn't it, for the hearing?
Just read that.
These are four or two resolutions, and they say it's not.
That's not it, it should say.
Mr. Adler, just while he's doing this, I can just report very briefly. This coming Tuesday, there is a meeting, a community open house for the comprehensive plan. And my office is working with our consultant, and Mr. Caldwell is not making any further requests for money at this time. We've addressed that, at least in the near term. So it's coming Tuesday, the 24th, is community open house.
Thank you.
I'm aware.
to the JED, explaining what the JED is.
What you should do per Ms. Donna is make the first motion in there. Then you can say whatever you want. At that point, if you need me to say anything, I'd be happy to do it.
No, I
And
just
then-
have a brief statement.
Correct. You would do that after you open the hearing.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I appreciate getting before the board. Your September update for the responses for the township are in the first part of the packet. You have a large packet. I apologize, but a lot to discuss this evening. Responses for 23 are there as typical in our 24 responses. We're showing an increase as of right now of just under 25% increase over last year's same time frame. So it's been a busy year. September's already been busy.
Is that overall, both EMS and fire responses?
Yes. Yeah. You know, we go through months where it slows down and then it picks up. So we'll see how the year trends out at in December and January. But as of right now, we're just over like 24.9% increase. Monthly training and community safety stats. It's been a huge benefit to have an additional person in community safety doing fire inspections, plan reviews, and just being sometimes a second eye on some of the larger inspections. We continue to spend a lot of time in Amazon sites doing those inspections, but it's been night and day. It's really taken a lot of workload off of Lieutenant Flora, but having that extra person to cover and then really get out in the community. We're actually advancing our community safety. We're going to have open houses this year. They're working on that, setting the dates, so we can really get and connect with the community and have that community come into the firehouses and connect with us. So that's always important, especially come levy seasons and whatnot, but continually just embracing the public. The medic unit that was purchased, did take delivery of the medic unit. That was purchased through our EMS billing, so really no taxpayer funds for that. It has been delivered. They are working on getting all the equipment onto that, and we're looking to have that in service no later than October 15th of this year. So that'll be a welcome addition to Station 211. The current unit that's up there is a 2016, 15, 16, just kind of depends on how you look at it when we took delivery versus when it was being built. But that truck is going to go into reserve status, but that is our primary bariatric truck for the county. We're the only department in the county that has a bariatric truck. So that was a nice addition. We were able to outfit that truck with COVID money. Significant events was a structure fire on Santa Clara. Everybody know about that. That was a phenomenal stop by our fire crews. They do, you know, it's just a testament to their professionalism and their dedication. Really started on the outside of the house and made its way into the attic and whatnot, where our crews were able to save the structure. They're going to do some refurb on the house and be able to move back in at some point. So,
Curious, did you determine what was the cause? Or
unfortunately, this is one of those that it's undetermined just because it was on the outside of the house. And you know, it's something, you know, later when they work with the insurance investigators, they have all the fancy labs with, they can do electrical testing. So we're working with them, and it's just one of those that we can't 100% definitively say this is what it is. So we're leaving it as undetermined at this time.
Okay.
In our ISO evaluation, we met with the representative from ISO. That is our insurance service organization. They really set the insurance, help them set the insurance rates for everybody's homeowners and business insurance. We currently have a 5. The best is a 1, and the worst is 10, 10X. So we have a 5 and a 5X for us and the rural areas of the township and then Mill Creek. We are hopeful that that will come down. Things that will help with that is the new fire station. And then obviously when the ladder truck comes on board, we'll have that. The tanker comes on board, we'll have that. So that's really looking at everything as a whole. Our staffing has really helped out. We did our ISO ratings several years ago. I think it was 5 years ago when we did it. One of the big impacts we had was the staffing at that time. We were only putting 3 to 4 firefighters on a fire immediately. Today we can put typically 7 to 10 depending on how many people we have off for the shift and how many part-time firefighters we have working that day. So dramatically increased that. That has helped us. And then the other factor is the total response force, which would be our mutual aid companies coming in. A lot of things to look at, water supply, where's the hydrants at? But we're hopeful that our ISO rating will come down, and then they will help us project for the future. If we add an additional station and add staffing, they'll be able to help us kind of plan for the future as to where we could see our ISO rating drop to. It's a huge benefit to the residents and the business owners in the community because it lowers their insurance premiums. I don't know that we'd ever be able to get to a 1 just because of our rural areas, but I would love to be able to get to a 2, and that makes a huge impact on the premiums that you pay every month for your homeowner's insurance.
When did you say the next ISO rating is going to be coming out?
It'll be coming to you and I. You should get it. We should get it here next month or in November. We just went through the evaluation process, and then we have to wait 12 months, and then we can request them to come back in. Our plan is to have the tanker and the ladder truck in service and operational, have all of our SOPs changed and operationally functioning before we invite them back in. They come out and they just tell us, hey, we're going to be in your area. We're going to do the ISO rating, and we schedule the date. And that happened, I believe, in July, late July. So it takes about 3 months for them to put all their information together. They look at water supply, the hydrant service from Delco Water and also from the city of Marysville. We have supplies by both. They look at our dispatch center as well. And there's 3 factors: the fire department, dispatch center, and then the water supply for the township. So those are the big 3 factors. So we're hopeful, and I'll keep everybody updated when it comes in. The tornado project, as you know, we've been working on this. This is a great project. I think it's one that's going to help us stand out as a community. You saw the presentation I did several months ago, and as of today, I know we are setting a record in Ohio for the number of tornadoes. There's already been over 60 tornadoes in Ohio, and not that I like setting those kind of records, but that's something that we typically don't see. This is going to be the trend according to the scientists and the experts in weather. Ohio is going to see continual more and more threats of tornadoes. Our project is looking at addressing this deficiency that we have in the lack of emergency warning devices or early warning devices for our community. We want to have 100% coverage, but we also understand that there's a financial constraint. You, as a board, have already approved 2 sirens this year. They're on order. One will go at Station 211. The other one will go at the Jerome Road Cemetery. Those will be a phenomenal impact for those communities because they're both surrounded by housing. The schools are there in that area, and then also we have outdoor venues and whatnot. The only siren we currently have is here in the township, and if you look at the map, and it's also in your packet, all this is in your packet, you can see what is currently throughout Union County. Everything down in the far left, the right-hand side, sorry, those are Dublin sirens. The only one we have in the township is located here. Our dispatch center does not have the ability to activate the sirens in Dublin and vice versa. That might be something future technology that they develop. But we're looking to eventually get to 100% coverage, not only here in Jerome, but we'll work with Mill Creek as well. We have tentative approval from that board to move forward with 2 sirens. We're working to get the soccer fields covered and then their township building, and then continue to grow from there as development goes. But the plan I got with Union County, Josh up at Union County did a map for us, and then we went back and labeled, and we kind of prioritized, and the prioritization can change based on our fiscal ability to purchase these sirens and then get them placed. The 2 that we purchased initially, we had gotten a quote on going and having electric ran to those and having their own meter base. But when we were talking to the company that is providing the sirens for us, you have to have a meter base, you have to have an electrician install that, but then you have a monthly fee for that meter, and it's typically a set dollar amount, no matter if you use electric or not. You're still going to have a battery backup, so we elected to go with a solar panel that has the batteries, and the solar panel will keep those batteries maintained. So it was kind of a win. The cost was still under the $40,000 per siren, and that is installed. They've already started delivering to the installers out of Michigan. We will set a date here in the future once everything's in and they're ready to go. And I'll keep you apprised of when those two will be installed. In your packet, you see, and I just really hit the high priority areas. And through 2026, I looked at having 2 additional sirens added each year. And then from every year after that, I put 1 siren in. And when I put those in, I asked the company for an escalation of cost. You know, everything's going up in price. They advised probably 5% is a safe number. So in 2024, we bought the 2. Those are still under the 40,000, as I said. I added 5% each additional year. And again, this list can be changed. This was just a suggestion I had so we can get more sirens out to the public. We have over 10,000 residents now, and I feel this is a great opportunity to improve safety. And if it saves 1 life, then it's paid for the sirens themselves. But this is just a suggestion. Open to questions on how and when we would purchase these and move forward. And this is something that I know Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Stanley and the board has not seen this full list, but really, you know, moving forward, something that we can keep in the back of our mind when we're budgeting. We're going to do 2 sirens. We're going to do 1 siren, or maybe we do multiple sirens. I also put if you see the price tag, if we move this project all the way out to 2039, and you're going to look at $1.1 million, and that may be closer to 1.2. But I put an alternative spreadsheet in there. If we bought all of these sirens today, it was going to be about $640,000. We would get discounts because we buy more than 10, but you know, at the end of the day, this is a reasonable ask. I think moving forward, having 1 to 2 sirens purchased every year just to improve the early warning for our residents and that little bit of safety that it's going to add for us. And as I said in the initial presentation, this does not by any means take away from the warnings you get on your phones, having a weather radio in your house. This is just that added level of protection, and we have people outside. You know, those are the things that we're trying to protect when they're outside and they don't have access to their phones or their radio. Any questions on the sirens?
I think we'll defer the decisions on how many to add in the future to when we get discussions on budgeting. Mr. Caldwell later in the year.
And like I said, we try to obtain 100% coverage, and that takes us out to 2039. So that long term, and then, like I said, if we do 1 or 2, and we may skip a year, you know, and it goes right back to what you said. If we can afford it in the budget, it'd be a good value added to the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next thing I have is in your packet, you have the engine proposal. I know this has been floated to the board members. The engine, we have 2 currently. As you know, we have 2000, or you may know or may not know what year they are, but we have 2018 and 2019. We purchased the 2018, the price tag was $585,000, and it was a spec unit. The department, this was just prior to me being appointed the fire chief, it went through the process and really spec'd this truck out to the things that we would need. The current truck, the 2018, which is engine 210, stationed here at Station 210, its primary function is our hazmat response, it's our heavy rescue, and then its primary response for firefighting and car accidents in this section of the township. Engine 211 is a 2019. That was purchased because the engine that we had, the frame had rusted through, and we had to take it out of service, and we did that emergency purchase. That was a demo unit that we purchased, and we got that for $510,000. So you can see there's a cost difference between speccing out a truck and then getting a demo unit or a stock unit. Engine 211, stationed up at 211, that is our primary fire response through the northern part, the Jerome Village area, and some in the Mill Creek. If we have a fire, they both go, but It's just the needs are greater. Our ISO dictates that we should have a reserve apparatus, and then our fire flows. We don't currently meet the fire flows with having 3,500 GPMs. We need to up that just because of the buildings that we have in our area and the fire flow requirements for those buildings. But the biggest thing is that reserve backup. Currently today, engine 211 is down at Cummins getting the motor worked on. It's been there for 2 weeks. We borrowed an engine from Pleasant Valley. This is something that we try to do when one of our trucks goes out of service. It's not always available, and reserve apparatus in central Ohio is really next to nothing. This is a huge benefit and a great relationship we have with Pleasant Valley. But there's times where we've had to just staff that station with a medic unit and not a piece of fire apparatus. So having this unit allows us to have a truck that we can put in the reserve status. It does benefit our ISO rating, but it also meets the future growth needs. So if we at some point in the future add a fire station, Station 212, down in the 161 corridor, that would give us an apparatus for there, and then we'd be able to function and have that and still have that backup. It helps us maintain the fleet. In your capital improvements budget, this was actually projected for 2027. We, at that time, I updated the spreadsheet you have tonight. We had projected $1 million, and I thought $1 million is just unheard of because we paid $585,000 just 5 and 6 years ago. Today, I can get a demo truck for $945,000. If we spec a truck, we're looking anywhere between $1 million and $1.2 million. So the increase in costs, that's almost 100% increase from just 5 years ago. They don't know when this increase is going to end, and I will say that most of the manufacturers, if not all of them, have said it's not going to come down. So that is the unfortunate thing that we are faced with in our growing economy. We saw that the cost of the tanker and the ladder truck, it increased dramatically just in a 1 to 2 year period. This is something that we would like to get ahead of, improve the operations of the fire department, and really just look forward and just have that forward thinking. We have a couple options available to us. Budgetary, again, anywhere from $950,000 to $1.2 million. That's if we sign a contract soon, and depends on the delivery method. If we fully spec a truck, that'll probably take about 2 months to work with the manufacturer, get that spec'd out. Delivery time is plus or minus 36 months, and there's no guarantee on that. There's a lot of factors that play into that. The availability of motors, transmissions, axles, all the components. And again, 1 million to 1.2. There are stock units available locally and really from multiple manufacturers. Those range from $945,000 up to $1.2 million. The delivery time ranges anywhere from 6 months to 24 months. They have stock units that they plug into the production line all the time, and then they have them. They typically would use them as a demo, but the stock units are selling. As you know, with the medic unit, that was another department that couldn't wait. They bought a different medic. We jumped on that. We literally had 24 hours to say, yes, we want it, and we took advantage of the savings. As far as the medic unit, if we had to buy that today, we'd be looking at about $410, and we paid $305 for that. So this is the engine proposal. This is something that, again, forward operations and really trying to get ahead of the cost increases as best as we can, because I don't know where they're going to end. I don't know that anybody knows where they're going to end. So questions on the engine?
Chief, what's the lifespan of the two that you have typically? Since you're having problems now, what's the lifespan on one?
So we typically plan for 20 and in a primary function, and then have a 5-year reserve, but everybody is seeing less. So I would say safely 15. We had a 1997 truck, and we got 20 years out of it. And that was that was after a lot of work to the body. You know, the things that impact us, I know traffic engineers love roundabouts, but they are horrible on fire apparatus and trucks. This roundabout, when we respond, we're going to slow down to 15, maybe 20 miles an hour at the most to really navigate through that. And if we have to go Mitchell to Witt to get to the Kittredge and whatnot, that is a lot of tension and twisting on that frame and on those axles. So there's manufacturers that are looking at that, but we're still, it's a lot more maintenance costs. Our engine's down at the Cummins right now, and disc go around is $2,000, and that's just one trip for an oil leak. So I would say safely 15, 20 years, but this would help us hopefully extend that life out a little bit more. Any other questions?
I would like to defer to Mr. Caldwell to give his take on capital expenditures and when this might be affordable, and, where we are budget-wise in terms
Sure.
of capital.
So we have the tanker budgeted for 2025, which funds from Mill Creek Township is paying for. We also have the ladder 26, we're hoping,
November 25 is what we're hoping.
okay? Late 25, early 26, which is being funded through Nationwide Jerome Village and coronavirus fiscal recovery money. This was budgeted for 2027, as the fire chief mentioned. If you were going for a spec unit, 36 months, that's going to be 2027 by the time it's delivered. I do like the stock unit idea, saving about $200,000. Even at that, that's 2 years, so you're looking at 2026 before this would come due, which is just a few months before we actually had it in the budget. So there is reserve there. It can be pushed up to 26 versus 27. So I feel fiscally you would be fine with starting to look at making a purchase now to have it built out in that amount of time. Any thoughts?
No, not really, thank you. I think that we should wait for Joe before we make a decision,
Right.
but I can completely appreciate this and where you're coming
I
from.
think I'd like you to proceed to get some more detailed information on the stock unit. It sounds like being our best option. What's available?
Okay.
What you're looking
Cost.
at.
I know.
And make sure that fulfills your needs, because sometimes when you spec a unit out, you've got a lot of things added on that you wouldn't
Right.
have, and so I want to make sure it meets your minimum requirements.
And myself and battalion chiefs, we had a planning session last week, and we looked at the basic requirements. We can get a fire truck with bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, bells and whistles break. We need just a fire engine. It'll have bells and whistles no matter what demo we go with or stock unit. And we have met with the available stock units. They all meet our minimum requirements of what we feel that we have to have, and then a little bit. So it's kind of nice. We have the ability to tweak some of those, not a lot of it, but we do have the ability. I know right now there's 2 available for delivery in February, one in February and one just a little bit later. And then
February next year? Or
yes,
February
and then they'll have stock demo units essentially every other month thereafter. But yeah, I'd love to have input from Trustee Kraft as well,
Yeah,
because
will
I
you
think it's
send us
important.
the information on these before our next meeting? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we
Sure.
probably won't have all 3 trustees here till the November
Yeah, it
6th
will-
meeting, so
Okay.
we'll try to be prepared to make some kind of
You
decision.
could send as much information on the stock units before that meeting.
I have specs right now. I can send those tomorrow. Okay. And then Administrator Stanley had asked me to talk a little bit about the fire levy, and and I'll just start off by saying I think having Trustee Kraft here is going to be essential. When we did our planning session the other day, we looked at the true needs of the fire department. There's a lot of things that we would really like to have, but when it boils down to it, we did an assessment, and we looked at needs versus what we want to have. All of us want to have the winning lottery ticket, but in reality, we can't have that. So we look at what we did. We broke it down into 7 different categories. We looked at the small equipment. That's typically the items that we have in our operating budget already. Not big ticket items, and I set the threshold at under $12,000. So the things that we had in there was updated thermal imaging cameras, rope rescue equipment, video conferencing, and that'll kind of be tied when we eventually get to Station 210, so we can actually do training and keep our firefighters in their stations instead of bringing 211 here or sending 210 up at the other station. And then obviously our updated fire equipment. As technology changes, things happen, and equipment gets better for us and safer for us. And then gas meters, we're always on the hunt for the best gas meters out there, because we are part of a hazmat team, but we use them on every structure fire. We've had to use them on car accidents, things like that. So we want updated equipment. And this goes through the list, and it looks at our capital needs, which you have the capital improvement budget. And I said this before, I would love to be able to have a budget that I can share and say this is what it's going to be for capital improvements. But as you see, an engine has doubled in price in 5 years. So we just did the best we could by projecting out, I believe, to 2044 on that budget. So this all ties back to the levy. We looked at personnel needs and whatnot. In your packet as well, you have the 4 levies that we currently operate off of. We have a 1991 continual levy. It was a 2.3 mil levy, and it operates, actually, it collects at 0.51 mils and 1.07 mils based on the actual type, residential versus commercial. We have a 1992 10 mil levy, and the effective millage on that is 2.26 and 4.67. And then a 2011, which was renewed in 2021. It was a 2.9 mil levy. Its effective millage is 1.64 and 1.90. And then a 2021 levy, that was the new levy in 21. Effective rate today is 2.3 and 2.12. Total mills on the books is 18.1, and effective rate is 6.71 and 9.76. We'll continue to have those rollbacks, and those will adjust. And you have those collection rates and what we collect off of those levies in your packet. And as we move forward, that's what we wanted to do the needs assessment for. When we looked at that, we looked at future fire stations, we looked at our equipment, our staffing, operational needs. When we get that ladder and we get that tanker, that's going to change how we operate as a department. And that is going to be a significant improvement. But we also looked at future needs, and everything was based on not just looking through the end of the year or through next year. This is really projecting out 10, 15, 20, 25 years, so we go into the next generation of firefighters and really see how we're going to improve as a township and increase the safety of our residents. Planning wise, I'd love to have Mr. Kraft here, but I would request that the board members, Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Stanley, myself, the 3 battalion chiefs, and our union president, if we could schedule a meeting, everybody get together, and this would be our focus, is just, we have a meeting, nothing but the levy. At the very least, I would say a renewal, but we have a lot of needs, and our community continues to grow, and the demand of our firefighters, we've already seen a nearly 25% increase this year in responses. That is significant, and we have a year to plan. This is the earliest I think we've ever planned for a levy. So I think it's important that if we could all get together in a room and just really look forward, not just the next 5 years, but really the next 10 years, and really set the tone for the coming levy in November of 2025, and then 2030, and really look how we're going to do that. So that would be my request, and I don't have a I would love to have a crystal ball and say this is going to be what we need. But unfortunately, I don't have that crystal ball.
Just a legal question, and having a joint meeting like that, would that have to be an executive session for discussion, or would that be
I
public?
think it,
I would think we would want to keep it as an executive session. It would have to be a special session.
can you do that?
I can reach out to Pete and ask him. Or,
My recommendation would be just a special meeting. I don't think it really qualifies for an executive session.
I think he's wondering if it had to be public, the public can be a part of it or not. I think that's what,
Doesn't meet any of the exceptions.
yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
So it would be a public meeting.
Yeah, but just because it's a public meeting doesn't mean you have to have comment. It can be, you all set up the tables here.
Right.
You know, we set up the chairs, but you all start sitting here talking through, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be a public comment meeting, if you will.
Given the scheduling here, I'm sure November is going to be a busy time, but that would be as soon as we could get everybody together in November. So let's,
Would it be appropriate just to have a trustee at a meeting initially?
I'm not sure that you get the dialogue and get the full impact of what their needs are. One trustee represents it to the other two. That would be my concern,
I'm just
I
thinking
guess.
of time.
right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And I don't know, I'd have to check with the Board of Elections when we can actually put it on.
November.
It'll go on
20th.
November ballot, but when, I think it's by August, we have to have everything.
90
submitted.
days before the election.
So we've got time, which is great. But, you know, we can get some traction on this, that'd be fantastic. Have that forward momentum, and then we could have informational meetings for the public.
I'm okay with delaying a decision until we have all three of us here as to the date. We'd like to try to target, I think, in November sometime. Probably mid-November before we get into the Thanksgiving and holiday season. If we push it back into December, everybody's too busy with everything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely. We're just happy that we're this far in advance. This is great.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for me?
No,
Sounds this time.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the zoning department comprehensive plan update.
I just repeat what I said earlier, Mr. Adler. This coming Tuesday, the 24th, there will be a meeting here at the Township Hall. It's a community open house with MKSK. At that point, I'll be working with the zoning commission to start the process with them. And things are on track, and we're not making any other requests for additional funds at this time.
My question to you is, will the draft plan be available on our website prior to that meeting for the public to review?
Let me talk to
Before coming in,
MKS.
or is the intent to review it at that meeting?
I truly don't know the answer to that question. I mean, the document is publicly available now by just contacting my office, but I will confirm with them. If it can go up now as far as their strategy, then it can go up now. It's not a problem.
And I know in our conversations, you mentioned that there were some revisions from the draft plan that were going to be made. Is that going to happen prior to the September 24th meeting?
Based on my last conversation with our consultant, they're not going to make any more. They have documented all the revisions, including the revisions that you provided, which they're very grateful for. They're not going to make any revisions to the draft document until after they meet with the public, because otherwise it just gets into too much. They're going to take in what you put, what we've heard from the steering committee, a couple other things I pointed out, some things LUC's pointed out informally, and what comes up on the 24th.
Okay. Any other questions, discussions? Okay, let's move on here. We're into old business. Jerome Village Revitalization District, set a public hearing on the application for the revitalization district. Somewhere in here, I think I've got.
You don't have anything that I'm aware of, so Mr.
So what was the date and the time.
You all need to decide on a time. You have until your date must be no later than the 17th of November per Mr. Griggs. So you can have your meeting up to the
Let's do it
17th
on
of
the
November.
6th.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
All right, well, have a motion then to do that on
I move to set a public hearing date for the Jerome Village Revitalization District on November 6th, 2024.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. at the Township Hall.
the second?
Roll call, please. Sorry.
Mr.
Waiting for
Adler?
it to write. Yes?
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Next item that we've had on the agenda was the facilities bond.
I just received this today, so I wasn't able to get it to you. So the board had previously gave the administrator and myself authority to go out and take a look at options for financing the new road department garage. We were working with the firm of Baird through Bricker Graydon, who was doing our TIF revenue bonds, to look at a facilities bonds issue to finance that construction. The amount that they put out there, so this is the list of banks that they submitted this to. A number of them didn't respond and indicate why. Either they felt that they didn't have competitive rates or they don't work in the governmental sector.
Can I ask a question? So
Yes.
if I'm looking at this correctly, they sent it out to 53 banks that rejected
Yes.
it and 8 banks that provided.
That is correct.
All right.
So it's quite extensive, and why we contracted with somebody to do this versus trying to do it ourselves, which would have been nearly impossible. So the best quotes are highlighted there on the top. JP Morgan Chase, they actually provided 3 options. Option 1, it provides for a 15-year note or bond issue for $1,738,000. And that's based on the initial estimate of $1.7 million plus costs for the issuance over 15 years at 3.31%. That would be a non-cancelable bond issue, meaning that you do not have the option to pay them off early. Option 2 is for the same amount and same number of years, but at 3.5%. But after December of 2031, you have the option, so essentially 10 years. You use your 6,
20.
yeah, 31. How many years is 6? 7 years. You have the option to pay it off early. And then option 3 is at 3.63% with the option to pay off early at 5 years. The recommendation from the consultant is to go with option 1. The reason being that currently when we receive those bond proceeds, we'll invest them in Star Ohio, which is currently earning about 5.6% interest. And we don't believe that that rate would ever fall below the 3.31. So would not necessitate your need to refinance or pay it off early to save any earnings. So that was their recommendation. As you see over to the right, JP Morgan Chase, however, when they put out a bid like this, they need a decision right away. Otherwise, you have to rebid it with them and they'll give you new rates. So if this is something that the board wants to proceed with, I have a call scheduled with them tomorrow morning if we do want to proceed. Otherwise, we can wait and submit it again.
Are we comfortable proceeding without a third trustee here for that amount of money?
I am. I think that Joe would, based on the way that Joe thinks, I think we'd
Since
be
the
okay
board
with it.
already approved
Right.
seeking the financing, so it's just what option you want to pick.
And is there any possibility that after the Fed lowers the interest interest rate tomorrow, that this could drop after tomorrow.
That's probably why they put this fast turnaround down time on there. He really didn't indicate if that would have any significant effect on this or not.
Because even at it drops 0.1%.
Won't they just come back with something higher? Because we didn't accept it.
What is your feeling on that? Is that an accurate?
You know, based upon the low number of respondents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so only 6 even made an offer.
Right.
I say we go ahead and go with option 1 from JP Morgan Chase.
Put my full trust in you, Mr. Caldwell. You've served the township well for 21 years now or so.
Joe says option one's okay.
It makes sense to me.
All right, I move that we go ahead with option 1 and have Mr. Caldwell finalize the bond, the bonding.
Okay, second.
Roll call?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
All right, new business. JED expansion amendment. This is the part where I have to read the,
Yeah. Gotta read all the things.
all right. First motion is I move to open a public hearing concerning the amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract for Ohio Health and the Kroger outparcel Jerome Professional Park. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
I would like to make a comment because of some information that was presented in the Marysville Journal Tribune, just to clarify. Find where I put my comment. There it is. I just want to make a brief statement to explain a little about the JED and clear up any misinformation that may be circulating about. The JED is a Joint Economic Development District that is an agreement that resulted from the more general Cooperative Economic Development Agreement, CEDA, between the City of Marysville and Jerome Township. The intent is to create or preserve jobs and employment opportunities and to improve infrastructure to the benefit of the city, the township, and the state of Ohio. The agreement was adopted in 2022 and is for 50 years with 2 automatic renewals unless one of the parties provides notice. It benefits the township to the extent that the City of Marysville agrees to not annex any of the properties in the district.
Which would result in a higher income tax if that were to happen. I think that's critical for the public to know.
An income tax on wage and profits of 1.5% is collected and then distributed with the majority of the funds collected. 60% of those funds is being assigned to the JED board to be used within the township for support of infrastructure improvements, which benefits businesses in this district. The remaining revenue collected is split between Marysville and Jerome Township, with each receiving 20%, which can be used in their general funds. And in the case of the township, those funds are used for support of community services that also benefit the businesses. It's my understanding that if a business is building within city limits, they would be paying the 1.5% taxes anyways, but all of it would go to the city. By not annexing the parcel, the city doesn't have to provide the support services the township is providing, and the township gets to continue to collect their share of future property taxes, which is important to the township. In terms of whether or not businesses are incurring any additional costs, this is not the case when compared with building within a city tax location. These kinds of expenses by larger businesses are already generally built into their consumer pricing, and it is doubtful that there are any increased costs to consumers resulting from any JED income tax. It is not likely that they would be either lowering their prices to consumers if they build in a township where they wouldn't have to pay income taxes. The JED only applies to newly developing commercial parcels that need to hook into water and sewer utilities. Existing businesses are not impacted, the new business is required to sign an agreement to be included in the JED. When a new business is being entered into the JED, both Marysville and Jerome Township have to pass resolutions to add them to the district. That is why we are scheduling these public hearings. The JED allows the income tax to be directed back into infrastructure and local township support that might not otherwise be used to directly support the businesses in the district. Yes, the city of Marysville does get the benefit of 20% share going into their general fund, but in my opinion, the benefits to the township and local businesses with infrastructure and support of community services is worth partnering with the city of Marysville. Those are my public comments.
I'd also like to make the comment that through our conversations and meetings with Marysville, when we were finalizing the JED, the city manager and the president of city council, or the mayor at the time, repeatedly made comments that they plan to allocate that 20%, although it does go to the general fund, back to the township for infrastructure. So, you know, that was a handshake agreement, and I trust that they'll follow through. So when it's all said and done, it's all going towards infrastructure and community services. And if we are going to continue to grow the business districts, the business district in Jerome Township, we need water and sewer. And we can do that much faster with the JED than without one, which in turn is best for our residents. It takes a tremendous tax burden off them.
I'd like to open the floor for public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak?
On the proposed JED
Proposed
amendment.
JED.
And by the way, for the record, this JED amendment adds a area in Jerome Village called Jerome Professional Park and the Ohio Health Development. Just so that we didn't state that specifically, but that's what's contained in this amendment.
I said that at the beginning.
Oh, you did? I apologize.
Without any public comment, then I move to close the public hearing concerning the amendments to the Joint Economic Development District and contract for Ohio Health and the Kroger out parcel Jerome Professional Park. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Okay, moving right along on our agenda here, we've got the certification of tax rates. Mr. Caldwell, would you like to do a presentation for that?
Yes, I forwarded you an email we received from the Union County Auditor in regards to the annual certification of tax rates for tax year 2024, collection year 2025. These are listed at their full rates. The option here is if for any reason the board wanted to not collect the full amount, you have the option to do that. Otherwise, my recommendation is to certify the rates as presented by the Union County Auditor. These are then presented to the Ohio Department of Taxation along with the values that the county auditor has determined, and they calculate the effective rates that are actually used to calculate property taxes.
Any discussion? I'd like to move then that we certify these tax rates. Have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Do we need to sign anything? Take a
Yep.
pause for that? Okay. And the next item we have on our agenda is the liquor control letter. Again, Mr. Caldwell, would you like to do a presentation on that?
Yes, we received a letter from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control asking if we wanted to have a hearing for ARSA PC Properties LLC. They are the owner and occupying previously the 1842
1487.
1487 location down there. So that, I guess they purchased that property and seeking for a liquor license for that property.
I can add a little clarity here that Peyton just signed off on a permit for the new tenant, which is an Indian grocery store and restaurant.
Typically, we do not go for the public hearing. We
Correct.
make a motion.
It would be if the board had any objection for any reason.
you don't need to take any action
We don't know.
unless you want to have a hearing. And then you would go back to, why do you want to, Chief would be happy to walk you through that.
Yes.
Because he's dealt with it before.
Yes.
Any objection? No objection. So let's move forward with that. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. I guess we've already covered the restrooms renovation
We did.
project.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're ahead of yourself there in your reports. At this time, then, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to ORC 121.22G1 for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, and or compensation of a public employee, and pursuant to ORC 121.22G2 to consider the purchase of property for a public use. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Adler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
The
Yes.
time is 8:20. Foster audience. The time is 9:22 p.m. I move that we adjourn an executive session.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Bradler?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
We just have a few announcements to go through here. I apologize for not having done this before our executive session, but no decisions have been made as a result of the executive session. If you would like to receive notifications regarding the Board of Trustees meetings, please email the Township office at jerometownship@jerometownship.com. The Township is always accepting applications for positions on our zoning boards. Please visit the Jerome Township website to fill out an application. And I might just repeat the announcement that there is an open house for the comp plan on September 24th, a week from tonight, 6 p.m. here at the Township Hall. We encourage residents and anybody that's interested in the future of our comprehensive plan to attend that meeting. Any other items for discussion? The time is 9:23 p.m.